The most unforgettable moments in gaming aren't handcrafted. They emerge unscripted and often unintended. This is emergent gameplay, where simple systems collide and players create outcomes no developer predicted. From Breath of the Wild's physics absurdities, Halo's multiplayer exploits, to the spontaneous chaos of Dwarf Fortress, these moments were never deliberately placed by designers. They were discovered. And that fundamentally changes how we play, and especially how we design games. Emergent gameplay isn't about developer-scripted moments or planned solutions. It's what happens when rules, systems, and physics interact, producing situations developers might find fascinating, terrifying, or occasionally both. It's the game design equivalent of carefully placing dominoes, only to watch players knock them over sideways and build something entirely different from the pieces. Intentional emergent gameplay occurs when developers deliberately build flexibility into their systems. Breath of the Wild intentionally includes consistent physics, chemistry, and weather systems, enabling players to solve puzzles by, for example, using electricity, some water, and a total disregard for personal safety. Dishonored deliberately allows you to freeze time, fire a sleep dart, possess a guard, and have them walk directly into their own projectile. Arcane Studios didn't explicitly guide players to that particular scenario, they simply trusted the player to figure out what was possible. Intentional emergence doesn't happen by accident. It emerges when game designers step back, placing versatile tools in the player's hands instead of rigid scripts. Minecraft isn't designed around building working computers and functioning calculators out of dirt blocks, yet players do precisely that, because Mojang intentionally left systems open-ended, interactive, and modular. Emergent gameplay isn't just clever mechanics. It extends a game's lifespan and creates replayability without new scripted content, simply by enabling players to experiment. Players keep returning, not for completion, but to see if they can solve problems in new ways, or intentionally create new problems altogether. Emergent systems foster community. Arma, Project Zomboid, and RimWorld thrive because their communities document their bizarre and unique experiences online, fueling interest and engagement without traditional marketing. From a developer standpoint, emergent gameplay magnifies every new feature added. Introduce one new mechanic, and players might generate dozens of hours of unexpected gameplay from interactions you never explicitly designed. Emergence turns your players into your collaborators. While some emergence is intentional, some is discovered completely by accident. These are the iconic glitches that turned features where players exploit until they become part of the game's DNA. Halo 2's BXR combo was a precise button sequence that unintentionally cancelled animations, turning multiplayer into a high-stakes timing contest that Bungie never planned. Rocket jumping in Quake was not a planned mechanic, but rather a side effect of explosive physics and player curiosity. Now, it's fundamental to competitive movement. Speedrunning emerged because players realized games like Mario 64 had cracks in their programming, allowing them to skip hours of intended gameplay by creatively breaking level boundaries. Dark Souls players uncovered that animation cancelling and specific frame timings allowed for new PvP strategies, complex interactions that From Software never consciously implemented. The beauty of unintentional emergence lies in players revealing hidden depths in games, transforming mistakes into new possibilities that often overshadow the original gameplay. Emergence isn't exclusive to physics tricks or competitive exploits. Some games let narrative events spontaneously emerge from player actions interacting with dynamic systems. The Sims offers no predetermined dramatic script, just a family, a stove, and a high likelihood that someone sets the kitchen on fire. The story emerges naturally from these simple interactions, producing countless absurd yet relatable life stories. Dwarf Fortress famously generates tragedy when a drunken cat incites a bar fight that spirals into fortress-wide chaos. None of this is scripted. It's hundreds of interconnected rules creating genuine narrative drama from random incidents. Left 4 Dead's AI director dynamically spawns enemies and events based purely on player actions, crafting tension-filled narratives on the fly, no script necessary, just intelligent systems that react convincingly. Emergent gameplay is valuable, but it poses significant challenges to developers. Allow too much freedom, and players turn your competitive game into a contest to find the most broken exploit. Allow too little, and you've created little more than an interactive hallway. Good emergence strikes a balance. Flexible enough to surprise, robust enough to maintain coherent gameplay. Hitman explicitly designed sandbox levels to support unconventional solutions. Competitive titles often clamp down rapidly when an unintended tactic threatens fairness. As one developer famously described, when it adds depth, it's gameplay. When it trivializes the challenge, it's an exploit. The code might be identical, but the player's perception makes all the difference. Creating emergent gameplay requires shifting from designing rigid content to crafting interlocking responsive systems. Systems should interact meaningfully, physics, AI, and economies, each influencing the other in real time. provide reusable tools instead of narrow solutions. Grappling hooks aren't just for traversal, they're multi-purpose problem solvers. Portals and gravity guns don't merely move items, they open avenues for experimentation. And crucially, developers must be comfortable with players misusing their systems. Puzzles will be trivialized, and bosses will be easily defeated through unconventional means. But if that creative freedom belongs to the players, the design has succeeded. Design with flexibility, embrace unexpected results, and trust players to author the best stories themselves. Emergent gameplay also matters because it shifts the sense of ownership. When players discover something that wasn't explicitly handed to them, there's a feeling of genuine accomplishment, a sense that the experience truly belongs to them. Games like Kerbal Space Program perfectly illustrate this. The devs provide rocket parts, planets, and physics rules, then step back and watch players struggle brilliantly. Players have built everything from functional space stations to elaborate rescue missions that the dev team never envisioned. That unexpected success becomes deeply personal. It's not just a game mechanic, it's the player's own achievement. Emergent gameplay doesn't simply provide new ways to play, it changes what it means to succeed. Of course, it isn't always sunshine and clever exploits. For developers, embracing emergence carries real risks. Games like Skyrim famously let players stack powers and potions until the game's balance becomes laughably fragile. One potion-making exploit, and suddenly you're punching dragons into orbit. Sure, it's hilarious until it trivializes every challenge in the game. There's also a fine line between emergence and pure chaos. Consider early physics-based sandbox games, where emergence quickly devolved into players piling objects until the frame rate surrendered. That's why good emergent gameplay isn't about removing constraints entirely. It's about carefully setting boundaries wide enough for creative freedom, but firm enough to prevent total collapse. Managing that balance is arguably one of game design's toughest tasks. Emergent gameplay transforms games from scripted experiences into collaborative, evolving worlds. Players become co-authors, designers become curators of potential, and everyone gets the chance to be genuinely surprised. The most powerful gameplay moments won't arise from predetermined storylines. They'll be improvised, discovered, and shared by the community. Just a quick note, we have a Discord server for anyone into game design, development, or just cool systems doing weird stuff. It's a small but growing community, and you're welcome to jump in, share ideas, or just lurk and watch things break in interesting ways. Also, I recently released a game called Hexbound on Steam. It's something personal I've been working on for a while. If you want to check it out or support indie devs doing strange things, the link's in the description. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.